Welcome to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. And to our viewers at home, we're going to have fun today. We're going to be testing your taxes in retirement. Wait a minute. Can taxes be fun? Can tests be fun? We're going to find a way to blend the two together. But have you heard of the Great Wealth Transfer? Well, here's a staggering number. It's roughly 90 trillion, not billion. Baby boomers have started passing down to Generation X and younger. It's the largest wave of wealth in history. It's ongoing for the next 20 years. What's the most efficient way to approach handing down and inheriting retirement money? We're going to find out today from Greg and Kristen. Greg, how are you today?
I'm doing awesome. I'm excited about today's show. Testing and taxing.
I know, right? And we're going to make it fun because it's together.
You're so positive. That just doesn't sound fun to me at all.
We got to do a twist. We have to make it fun for the viewers at home. Kristen, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much. So what are we really talking about? Let's peel back the layers of the onion here, so to speak.
That just makes you cry.
Right. And so do taxes, right?
I know.
So we're on the same page.
Yes.
So when you think about it, all of that money being passed down to generation, I would say probably that would be your Generation X, millennials, baby boomers.
Yes.
They're in their high working years. What happens with some tax implications when this happens?
Well, can you imagine, the wave of wealth that's going to transfer to the millennials, to the Gen Xers? This is a huge thing. Now,
yes,
if you're those inheriting, it doesn't feel like such a problem. But it really can be, because when you think about it, all of the money that we leave behind, it's going to be in one of three tax funnels. Mm-hmm. It's going to be in a taxable funnel.
Right.
As we think about the taxable funnel while we're living, we're paying taxes before it goes into the funnel. We're paying taxes while it's going through the funnel. And then we pay taxes on the other end of the funnel.
Yes.
So it's a taxable account. Then there's tax deferred. So that'd be our IRAs, our 401ks. It could be a fixed annuity. It could be a savings bond. Right. All those types of things are what we would call tax deferred. So we're putting the money in. In some cases, we get a tax deduction when we put it in, like an IRA or 401k. It goes through the funnel, and there's no tax as it's going through this funnel. It's accumulating, though. Think of it like a tornado. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then at the bottom, everything's taxed. Yeah. So everything that comes out is taxed. So that's that tax deferred funnel.
Well, I'm going to talk about the positive one. So then you have the free.
Well, you get the positive one.
I get to be the light at the end of the tunnel, the funnel, I would say.
Light at the end of the funnel. I like that.
And you have the free tax account, so to speak, and those would be your Roth IRAs, Roth 401ks, your municipal bonds, life insurance. When you inherit life insurance, it goes into an account with a small interest accumulation on it until you do something with it, right? And so those are the ones that I would say are the nicest. They're pretty nice accounts. They're the things that we want to understand each of these so we can make it make sense for what we're doing now so that our heirs can inherit it in the most advantageous way.
So those are on the nice list and the others are on the naughty list? Is that
true?
Is that what we're talking about?
I guess.
All right. Well, but you think about it with the Roth or even with life insurance or whatever, you're paying tax before it goes into the funnel. It's growing tax-free while it's in the funnel, and then you get it coming out tax-free, and that's a wonderful thing.
Yes.
So when you think about it, how do you think our heirs would want to inherit money?
Well, I can tell you right now, just from calls we've gotten in, right, that people a lot of times don't understand. A lot of the ones inheriting these dollars sometimes don't understand how the tax qualifications work, and they're pretty upset when they owe tax, right?
They are.
Sure.
And they've got to get a lot of these dollars out now within 10 years. That rule's changed.
Yes.
So if they're making, they're in their prime working years and they're making, pretty high income, that's pushing them into the highest tax bracket.
Absolutely.
And so they don't like that.
That's true. And typically, Cynthia, we have two different types of client that comes in and is thinking about what they leave behind. Some say, you know what, they're going to get an inheritance if they have to pay tax. So what? I just want to be as efficient for me.
Right.
Which is fine. Others are thinking, we don't want to leave a big burden on our kids.
Yes.
And so let's try to be efficient now so it will be better for them later. I'm thinking about a family that just come in within the last month or so, maybe a couple of months ago. And they came in and they had an advisor for over 24 years. And they actually had a really close relationship with this advisor. And so I asked, I said, well, why did you come in? He said, well, I hear you talk a lot on the show about taxes, and I'm really not having these conversations. So I said, so what's important to you about your money? He said, well, we've got $2 million in tax deferred IRAs and those types of accounts. We've got $1 million in taxable, and we have just a couple $100,000 in tax-free Roth. I said, okay. He said, well, right now I'm taking $7,500 a month for lifestyle living, to offset the way we want to live in retirement. Mm-hmm. I said, so which account are you taking it from? Because he's 69, his wife's 68. Mm-hmm. I said, well, we're taking it from our brokerage account, our taxable account, because our broker says that taxable account will get capital gains rates instead of ordinary income rates. And so it's better to take from there. I said, so let me ask you this question when it comes to taxes. With taxes, do you want to think short range or do you want to think long range? He said, what do you mean by that? I said, well, on the short range, in other words, I want to be your hero today. On the short range, I want to save you every dime I can today, but there's typically a payday coming later. So just imagine in 4 years when you have required minimum distributions, that $2 million is now maybe $2.5 million or $2.6 million because it's grown in 4 years.
Right.
And he said, well, okay, that's logical. I said, so now your required minimum distribution is on 2.4 or 2.6 million, not just 2 million. And so now you've got roughly $100,000 a year as a forced distribution that's coming to you every year. So I said, but think about that implication if something happened to you and your wife. I said, now your loved ones owe tax on this 2.4 or 2.6 million dollars, and they have to get it all out within 10 years because it's IRA dollars. Or if your brokerage account grew from $1 million to say $1.3 million or $1.4 million, when you pass away, your heirs get what's called a step up in basis.
Okay.
Meaning if it grew from $1 million to 1.4, that there's no tax to the heirs, as though the cost basis was now the amount it is. So they would be able to inherit that account tax-free.
Wow.
Whereas the tax-deferred account, they're going to owe tax on the entire balance. So in my opinion, we should start taking that $7,500 a month from your tax-deferred account, because now we're thinking about the long term,
right, not
just the short term.
And,
Absolutely.
Cynthia, I think it's important to point out here, this is where a few shows back we talked about AI and how good communication is important when you're talking with an advisor. And in this case, context awareness, I think, falls into play, because understanding the total situation
Yes.
and having that back and forth conversation with feedback is really, really important to having success with your tax efficiency.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Context is everything. Thank you so much for bringing that up,
Yeah.
Kristen. To our viewers at home, are you passing down a legacy, or are you being blessed with one and you're not sure what the tax implications or the tax obligations could be? If you're in the viewing audience today and you're asking yourself, am I prepared for this great wealth transfer, whether I'm on the receiving end or on the other end where I'm giving money? If the answer is no, this is the perfect time for you to call in and to book your complimentary consultation with Greg and Kristen. That number is 614-336-7660. You'd want to gain the personalized tax map report at no cost whatsoever. Greg and Kristen Taylor would be very happy to design one for you. That number again is 614-336-7660. If you don't have a smartphone, or if you don't have a pen handy, grab your smartphone, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to the landing page for Greg and Kristen Taylor at Legacy Retirement Group, and you can claim your spot accordingly. Also, don't forget to visit testmyretirement.com. We're going to talk a little bit about that when we get back, and let's talk about how Test My Retirement works actually with Greg and Kristen Taylor. We'll be right back momentarily.
Plan smart, retire well. How do you do that? Many times we meet families and they actually think they have a plan.
But what about when you want to upgrade your house? What about when your wife wants to buy new furniture?
No investment decision should be made outside the context of a plan. So what is your plan? We believe in the 3-bucket approach as it comes to your finances. Your liquid bucket, which is what I call the sleep well at night account, for when the what ifs happen in life. Your income bucket, which is there to meet the gap between Social Security, maybe a pension, and what you really want to live in. We believe you should protect that income, then grow the rest. And then your growth bucket. The growth bucket's really focusing on helping you achieve your growth goals. As you transition from your working career to retirement, we want that to be the greatest moment of your life, and we don't want you to fumble the ball.
So imagine, when you're working, you're getting a paycheck. When you're retired, you have to pay yourself. The 3-bucket approach is a really easy way for people to start compartmentalizing what they're doing with their money.
We want you to be successful in any economy. We want you to thrive no matter what's going on. You know, worry and fear and greed are the biggest problems when it comes to investing. We want to take that off the table, and we want to make sure you have a consistent growth strategy. We want you to be just as successful in your retirement plan as you were in your accumulation plan.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. And we're having a very important show today, talking about how to test your taxes. We're having fun with it. But this segment, I'm so excited because obviously you together, Greg and Kristen, put together this free online tool. It's called testmyretirement.com. Kristen, what is it? It sounds interesting.
Yeah, so an overview of it is you just go to that website. It's actually a landing page within our retirement group website.
Okay.
And you're able to just click Learn More. After doing that, you input a few pieces of information. Your name, your email, you put in how much money you have saved in tax-deferred dollars, so your IRA, 401k, you want to put that number in. And then it asks for an assumed tax rate. So there's a default box. You can click 25% if you're unsure. And then it'll take you to a page with some assumptions on the screen. After that, it emails you a report. And I actually came in today with the report pulled up so that we could walk through it for those.
Good.
Because this has been such a popular tool for people to go on from the show. But I put in the assumption of $1 million in the tax-deferred dollars with 25% tax liability, and then it shows an assumed growth of 5%. Okay? So this is the kind of information you're going to get from this exercise. It shows that you have a potential tax liability. Are you ready for it? I need a drum roll.
Okay.
$835,000.
No.
So, and 140 to be exact, but yes. So that's your potential tax. And I'm going to break that down for a minute. But if you were to reallocate to tax-free, it shows a potential tax of $250,000. Now, of course, this is not a replacement for getting with your CPA, getting with your financial advisor, getting them able to get the context of the full situation. But this gives you a bird's eye view of what your potential tax is, so that you're armed with that information to go on and make an informed decision. And I think that's really important. So the breakdown of the qualified taxes is $374,000 in RMDs. Isn't that crazy?
That is
Well, that's
nuts.
just a tax on the RMD.
That is nuts.
That's just the tax. Now, if you don't need those RMDs and you were to go ahead and just put those into an investment account or reinvest them, if you will, there's an additional $125,000 in tax on that. So you're paying tax, and then.
But wait, there's more.
Wait,
there's
don't go
more.
anywhere.
The last one that I think is the kicker that most people don't consider is the tax paid on the remaining account at death. And that's $334,000.
Oh my gosh.
So there's so much potential here based on the situation and based on the goals for those dollars to save on paying unnecessary tax. Of course, pay your taxes. Pay your taxes.
Yes.
We're not saying not to pay, but be efficient with it, right?
Yes.
So just imagine this, Kristen, if there was $1 million left and a couple had, let's say, 4 children, and they were going to leave those dollars to 4 children equally.
Okay.
So that would be $250,000 to each child, correct?
Yes.
But wait, if that tax on that remaining balance was $384,000, who would actually be the biggest beneficiary
Uncle Sam.
of that IRA?
Uncle Sam.
They would get more money than anybody.
That's why
Uncle Sam.
constantly we say an IRA is an IOU to the IRS.
That is true.
It is. The IRS can become our biggest beneficiary if we're not really prudent about this ahead of time.
Yeah.
So what does this report tell us? Well, number one, it tells us what the required distributions might actually be. So we can put in the assumed rate of return. That's part of it. The tax rate she talked about, all that. And then it tells us when we're 73 or in 2033, age 75, what that required minimum distribution could potentially be.
Okay.
So it gives you a heads up as to what it could look like. And this is really an eye-opener there. The reason it is because if you're going to be forced to take $50, $60, $70, $80,000 out of your IRA at required distribution age, why not start making those conversions now?
That's true.
If you could make a $50, $60, $70, $80,000 a year conversion,
Yes.
go ahead and pay the tax. And now during this period of time, you're growing into a tax-free bucket, not just a tax-deferred bucket. It could make some sense. So understanding what the required distributions could be can really be helpful when it comes to strategizing. Also, how much your tax liability could potentially be.
Okay.
It's an eye-opener. It really is.
Absolutely.
Look,
Seeing that number is shocking.
Right.
I mean, it really is shocking. Even though
Yes.
I've seen it, thousands of times probably in
Yes.
different scenarios,
Yes.
it's still shocking when you see it and then
It
thinking,
is.
okay, if I could save some of that, does it make sense?
Yes.
That would feel good, right?
Of course.
And as we just learned, the tax that your heirs could potentially owe. And information is valuable. Information is powerful. Information can help you make good decisions. So one of the biggest parts of going to testmyretirement.com is you get information that can be helpful in what you do moving forward, what you do next. It can motivate you to become more tax efficient. Because I can talk about the Roth till I'm blue in the face, and I typically do.
Let's see, are you blue?
I'm
You have a
starting
blue
there.
tie
I
on,
got my
so-
tie. This was red when we started the show. I mean, so yeah.
Hit rewind.
I love it. I love it.
But ultimately, it can make us aware of the cost of doing nothing.
It definitely does.
And there is a cost to it, Cynthia. If we just stay with the status quo, there's a cost to it. And I don't want people to be just unintentionally forced to pay that price.
Absolutely. What type of feedback are you hearing after people put their numbers in?
Yeah, so the feedback we hear is tremendous. I mean, people are realizing that there's a way to potentially save more, and they want to learn more, right? They want to know how it makes sense in their situation. Now, I always give the disclaimer, it doesn't make sense for everyone, but it's worth looking at and figuring out, maybe even just from a standpoint of where you're drawing your income from, and making that make sense for taxes as well. So the feedback we get is tremendous. They
It
love
is.
the tool. Being able to do this from the comfort of your own home, because let's face it, a lot of times we just don't even know what questions to ask. And so this helps formulate some of those questions. Oh, I see this. Why would I need to do that? Why do I need to take RMDs at this time? What would this be? What does this mean? And it formulates all those questions to help you understand what you need to know when you sit down with an advisor.
Kristen, thank you so much. Greg, thank you. To our viewers at home, are you confused about the trajectory of where your taxes could go? As you can see, there's something that's so simple called testmyretirement.com. Go to the website, put a few pieces of information in. We think that you'll be very surprised at what your tax burden could be today. If you don't take action, you have to plan for tomorrow. So don't forget, testmyretirement.com. The number to call on your screen is 614-336-7660. If you have questions about your taxes in retirement, this is the perfect opportunity to schedule time with Greg and Kristen. They will answer those questions for you. Completely complimentary. Again, 614-336-7660. Or, of course, you can grab your smartphone, click on the QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to the landing page for Legacy Retirement Group. You can claim your time accordingly. We're going to take a very short commercial break, but don't go anywhere. You know, a lot of advisors tout about being a one-man shop. They can do everything in one location. Well, why did Greg and Kristen Taylor decide not to run their practice that way? Stay tuned. We'll be right back momentarily.
We know the market is going to get worse from here. This is the biggest monthly decline in 10 years. People's 401ks took a major hit.
Well, my investments are tanking. My retirement isn't going as planned. I can't believe I let my kid talk me into buying crypto. I mean, what is that anyway?
This was the fourth worst contraction in history.
So how are you two doing?
Your financial future doesn't have to be uncertain. I'm Kristen Taylor with Legacy Retirement Group. If you've amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. We specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and much more. Plan your retirement right. Call now for your portfolio review and tax analysis.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. We're going to talk a little bit about how you've probably heard so many people do all things in one place. They can say that they're an estate attorney, but they also do financial planning, and sometimes people have Medicare people on staff as well. Well, why did Legacy Retirement Group decide to specialize? We're going to talk about that right now. Greg, what are your thoughts on that? Because obviously we hear that all the time. This is a one-stop shop. Get everything done. We could do it all. But you have decided to stay in one lane specifically, you and Kristen both.
We have, and you know, you can't be great at everything.
It's true.
You know, one of the greatest, or possibly the greatest basketball player of all time is Michael Jordan.
Yes.
Remember when he tried to play baseball?
Yes.
Now, he was, without a doubt, one of the greatest of all time in basketball, but he was in the minor leagues, basically, in baseball.
Yes.
So you can't do everything great. You can't be all things to all people, and seldom does a one-size-fits-all fit everybody. In fact, it typically doesn't really fit anybody.
No.
And so with that, what we've determined is there's certain things that people truly need to feel secure in retirement. They need consistency in their investments. They need income that they can depend on. Because with those two things, you can take care of emergencies, you can take care of needs, you can pay your bills, you can go on vacations, you can live your lifestyle, you can be prepared for future taxes, you can be prepared for inflation, you can be prepared for healthcare needs, you can be prepared for just about anything life throws at you. And some of the people that try to do it all really struggle to do anything really, really well.
Now, and I understand, so from the aspect of families that we meet with, everyone's busy, right? We're all running the race and we're running around and doing things as people who work in the workforce and have children and grandchildren, and some people are caregivers to their parents. And so I understand why this is an area that's important to some families. But think of it this way. So we're doing a garage project at our house, and our builder doesn't do any of the work. Our builder is really the person that comes in and checks on all the areas. So he has subcontractors that came in and do the trenching for the gutter downspouts. He had subcontractors that came in and did the stucco, contractors that came in and did the stonework, and people that are experts in each area, down to the fact that even his tile person wasn't confident that he could do an excellent job in the pan of the shower floor. So we got a different contractor just to build the pan before he came in and did the tile work. And so I think it's important to think of that alongside of this, in that, you know, the builder knows when to bring the right people in.
Absolutely.
They know when to call the gutter person because the stucco's done. And with the case of our office, a lot of times families that are in their working years and they're just accumulating money and they're just dollar cost averaging, there's a simple need there. But when you get to retirement and you're distributing those dollars and you're trying to figure out the tax liability on those dollars, you might need to bring in a CPA. You might need to bring in a business planner for someone that may be merging a business or selling their business. You might need to bring in an estate planning attorney. Maybe you need to bring in a special needs planning attorney, somebody that specializes in that area. There's different areas of focus.
Yes.
And we can be the person that delegates that out to where the person is at that time and place. Does that make sense?
It does.
And
It
I
does.
think that it's not necessarily bad. You know, you may do a good job if you do everything. Bravo. But we feel like we could easily hire an attorney in our office. We could easily hire an estate planning attorney. But if they're so good at what they do, they have their own practice. They don't want to come work in
true.
our office, right? So that's what we do. That's how we do it at our office.
And that way it's definitely personalized, customized to each individual that
Yes.
comes into the office.
That's exactly right, because retirement has 5 core areas that we need to make sure mold together. That's our investment strategy, our income strategy, our tax strategy, our healthcare strategy, and our legacy plan or our estate strategy. And so since 1994, I've worked with a gentleman who all he does is Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage plans, all those things. He knows the ins and outs of it. We could do that in office, but this is all he does.
Yeah.
So when someone has that need, we simply refer them to him, and he does a wonderful job making sure they get into the right plan. We have an elder law attorney who has been up against the hearings and all the things where laws are challenged and people's true needs are being met here. And it's not just some wet behind the ears young attorney that gets thrown out there to say, okay, I learned a little bit about elder law and I'm going to take your case. No, this is someone who's been in the trenches, and we know he knows what he's doing when it comes to elder law. We don't want someone who's maybe wet behind the ears trying to help them. And so with these types of things, even with taxes, we have a tax professional that can really dig in for a business owner, or has very simplistic planning for someone that just needs their tax returns done. So those are 2 totally different things. And what we realized was the person, as she said, the person who is really an expert or very specified in their field, they've got plenty of business. They don't need to do that. They just want to help the people that need help.
Greg, thank you so much. Kristen, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, the number to call is on your screen, 614-336-7660. As you can see, navigating tax planning in your retirement shouldn't have to be complicated. Go to testmyretirement.com. See what your tax obligation and burden could possibly be. Customized just for you. That number is 614-336-7660. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We'll see you back 1 week from today. Take care.